Messi's face, and it says it all. I want to stand and applaud that second half performance from the French guys, but I can't. The camera's on me, so I leave it to you. This great game of football.
No, fantastic game of football. Obviously pace and flair, which is what you want, what we expected France to be like. They haven't quite done it in the earlier rounds. I think Argentina played into their hands a little bit. I thought they went ultra defensive. Lionel Messi playing up front on his own, and we know that he's not a centre forward. At times, counted 2 or 3 times in the first half, he's come and took the ball off the central defenders when he's supposed to be a number 9. I can see why they did it. They tried to pack their midfield, but I think France were always too strong for them. They had far too much pace, and the ageing, oldish back four of Argentina couldn't handle it. Yes,
Ashley will break it down in much more detail further on in the show. But Eugeneson, you look at young players like Mbappe. You want them to succeed because he's come into the World Cup with a reputation. Today, after this match, he sealed his superstar status.
Indeed, he's been very confident. Like coach said earlier today, his pace is unbelievable, and the Argentine defense couldn't cope with him. And his composure to score these 2 goals have been brilliant.
Yes, I like the way you say coach to him. You can't shake off that bond, can you? But just talking about this French performance, as Ashley was saying, we hadn't seen much of them in the first phase of the tournament. But this is the business end. This is when you want teams to really notch it up a gear, and they did it. They just went straight from 2nd gear to 5th, perhaps.
This is where you actually want the teams to pick up, rather than teams picking up too early. This way, the motivation, they're only going to get better. Like we said earlier, they've got a quality in the squad that is, very high. And yeah, you could see a performance like that coming.
Okay, perhaps you saw it coming. Perhaps that explains the shade of blue on your t-shirt, Ashley. I think he knew what was coming. But let's just pause and look at this Argentine team. You look at those faces at the end. You look at Messi, you look at Mascherano. It's an end of an era, in a sense, for Argentine football. I mean, Kun Agüero, Di Maria won't be around when the next World Cup comes.
Well, I think it's only going to get worse, if I'm being honest. The reason this Argentinian side has been good in the past is from the youth level. I think 2007 down, I think they won the under-20 World Cup championships 4 or 5 times with the youth that have come through, and a lot of them have progressed into the first team. Since I think in 2009, 2010, they didn't even qualify for the 20 World Cup. So it's telling you that underneath them, there's nothing actually coming through. So I think it's only going to get worse. The players have got older, and they're not replacing them with any quality. So for me, it's going to be a tough road for Argentinians, and they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and do like what you see the Germans do. Yes, the Germans didn't have a good World Cup, but they won the Confederations Cup with an under-21 side, and they have people coming through the side like we've seen in this World Cup. So for me, Argentina have got a long, long road back to be where they was.
Yes, Germany also reached the Olympic final in 2016 with a pretty young squad. But Lionel Messi, we saw him at the end, disappointed, perhaps thinking, should he announce it now? Should he announce it later? Perhaps wait for this to sink in. But where was he in this game? Ashley mentioned he was playing, as more of a false 9 alone up top. But where was he? Apart from that one cutback in the second half, that his shot took a deflection of Mercado and went in. You contrast this to the last game when he was pumped up. He was pumped up. He wanted his team over the line to get them through that phase. Didn't see much of him. Went missing.
Argentina were outplayed in midfield, so the supply to Messi were being cut off. So, like coach said, that he's playing up top, and if you can't get the supply, then it's no point. So normally he fades away and he's not in the game.
1-1 at half-time, and you think Argentina perhaps will make a battle of it. They start the second half with that goal, go 2-1 up, and then it just goes. Just goes. Was it down to tactics? How were the French overpowering them in midfield? Perhaps you could show us.
Well, I think the first goal that Argentina scored was against the run of play anyway, to be quite honest. France went to sleep. I think at times it was almost too easy for France. It actually came from a throw-in. France was the 4-2-3-1. And Argentina, we say a 4-4-2, but it wasn't. They had Mascherano sat at the bottom, who was given the protection, and they had Messi up front on his own. The reason why Mascherano was there, he was there to look after Griezmann. Griezmann's the one that plays in that hole, if you like. So Mascherano was there to try and do a job on Griezmann, and you have to say at times that worked. It stopped them. Griezmann's normally in this kind of position. So that was the reason. They were really worried about Argentina about getting outnumbered in this position. Obviously, you've got Pogba, you've got Kante, and you've got Griezmann. So they wanted to make it a 3v3 in this area, and that's what they did. which was fine. It nullified them a little bit, but what it didn't do is give them absolutely anything going forward. We see Lionel Messi obviously up front. He was in this kind of position, and at times he was playing against 4 defenders. And the longer the game went on, the more Lionel Messi came deeper and deeper. The big thing that France wouldn't be happy with is what they're really good at in the midfield. They have Kante and they have Pogba, and they sit in front of the back 4. But the goal that actually they scored, Argentina, Pogba found himself wide, caught on a throw-in. Kante was deep over here, and obviously Di Maria, he got the ball in this kind of range, and we all know what else he did. He scored a goal against the runner play. But for me, once the game progressed, France showed their dominance. They had lots of athleticism. Pogba was making breaking runs, and obviously Mbappe tortured them.
And also, you know, when you head into a World Cup, people talk about age. The age factor perhaps showed itself in this game, because France, one of the youngest teams out there, and the pace of Mbappe was something. The tired legs in the Argentinian back 4, and perhaps right up here, they just could not cope with him.
Yeah, with age, you normally get better when it comes to where you read the game and tactically. But physically, you're being caught. I mean, their pace, strength, you can't just keep up with the younger lads.
Yeah, one of those great World Cup goals. Remember Michael Owen? Perhaps in 1998, Diego Maradona running from his own half, scoring that goal against England. The second goal, not the first one, which you guys won't like to remember much. But just that the quality of that run, just took it from somewhere in his half, ran all the way. They just couldn't get anywhere near him the first goal.
Yeah, I think what killed them was, you know, Argentina was in possession, so their back 4 was up the pitch. You know, they were around about the bottom of the centre circle, if you like. And Mbappe picked the ball up probably 30-40 yards from his goal, and he had a lot of space to attack and a lot of space in behind. And once he knocks that ball out of his feet and he's in a foot race, he'll beat most people, and that's the reason he looks so electric. You know, his run, it must have been 60 metres long, which is why the reason we're starting to hear him about hitting 40 kilometres an hour or whatever it was, because he had the space to run into, which should have been unlike Argentina. If Argentina had any chance of, if they're setting up with a 4-1-4-1, they should have defended on the edge of the box and not allowed any space in behind, because that played into the French hands.
Okay, and there was the point when Argentina went 2-1 up. You thought perhaps the script is changing now. We're going to see a turnaround in fortunes. Maybe they will nick it at the end. But that one moment of magic turned it around. No? That goal from Pavard was absolutely outstanding. It reminded me of the Nacho goal in the Spain-Portugal game.
The technique was obviously exquisite, and it came at the right time. I think if it had gone a little longer, Argentina might have settled down and maybe defended better. But it had come at the right time, and France used that as momentum to get back, and they never looked like turning back.
3 scorers for France: Mbappe, 2 of them, Griezmann and Pavard. For Argentina, all 3 scorers aged 30 and above. 2 of them in the France ones were under 22. 1 is 27. Does that explain also what was going on?
Not really. For me, like, age is up. No matter how old you are, you have to play to your strength. So if you're 32, 33, whatever you want, and you're playing up high, and you've got someone like Mbappe running at you, you're going to be in trouble regardless. Even Pogba breaking from midfield gave him a hard time.
But couldn't they see that coming?
Well, they should have done, but they didn't set up for like. We obviously know the coach, Sampaoli, likes high press. To have high press, you have to push your back 4 up. But the system they set up isn't a high press system, because it's a defensive one, a 4-1-4-1. So it was kind of mixed, you know, ethics, if you like, mixed conditions. I'm not sure why they did it. Messi up front on his own is meaning we're going to be compact. If you're going to be compact, you want to be nice and deep if you're playing against a fast line, which they weren't. So it was a little bit strange for me, the way that they're set up. You know, you're better off, if you're going to play a high line, you're better off setting up maybe as a 4-3-3 and trying to press in the opposition's half, which they didn't do. They allowed them to have it at the back, France. They allowed them to have steady build-up, but then he also allowed them space in behind where they could hit him on a counter-attack. So it was a really strange way to set your team up.
We were waiting for this France to turn up, Eugene, and now that they have turned up, this is going to be great for the tournament to see this kind of attacking football. They waited for the moments, but when they got those moments, they really went for it. This is perhaps counter-attacking football at its best we've seen.
Yeah, they've used it to strengths. They've got a pace, they've got a quality going, moving up front, and they've got a sturdy defense as well. So we are very delighted that France have actually come up, and I'm hopeful.
One final question, Ashley. Do you see Messi announcing his retirement tonight or in a couple of days?
I think
you don't
Messi,
see him going on to the next
No,
World Cup.
I think we've heard that Mascherano's just announced his retirement.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's 100% correct. I've heard it is. Messi, I think, is a little bit wiser. You know, why announce it now, make it all about you? I think he'll just let the dust settle. I don't think you'll see him again, but why announce it and make the tournament about you? I think he'll be upset enough just to go home, you know, do his grieving, just get over it without, you know, adding extra, you know, publicity to him. Why announce it now and then all of a sudden the cameras will be chasing him? What's this? Just leave it, let the dust settle, and then you'll see in the next couple of weeks that it'll come out.